Hi there everyone, this is Damari speaking, and I'm tuning in to YouTube to give you your shadow reading for mid to late August 2019, and this is for the sign of Capricorn. So just to give you some information, before we begin, I will be pulling some oracle cards from the Dark Mirror Oracle. And the reason for this is because this is particularly good for doing the shadow work, so it helps you to get to the root of underlying issues. It just brings them to light so you can really reflect and work on those things, particularly in terms of destructive behaviours, thoughts, emotions, connections, all of these things that are negative and that are just underlying the surface. This helps bring them to light so you can really do the work and process them and then heal from these wounds or deal with these problems that arise. So this is why I really like using this pack to begin with, and then I'll be clarifying using the Wild Unknown Tarot cards. So let's just get stuck in, shall we? So let's see what messages we have in terms of your shadow aspects for mid to late August 2019. What are Capricorns dealing with right now? So to begin with, you've got downcast pride. Okay, that's interesting. So we'll go into that in just a moment. I just want to pull another card at least, because there's usually more than one thing going on any one time, right? We're always contending with multiple things, so I just want to get another card to see what else is happening here and what this could be in relation to as well. Ooh. Okay, flying out. Okay, so we have. Let's put these back. Stay. Alright, we got there eventually. So, downcast pride and anger and chains. So, I'm just going to be reading from the Dark Mirror book, from the booklet that comes with the pack, just so you get some background information about the cards, and then I can explain how it applies. Just to let you know as well, as you can see, there's different moon phases on either side of the card. This one's actually shadowed, like you can't actually see the moon, it's like eclipsed, right? Whereas this one you can see there's a waning moon, and that's to do with the different phases of the moon is associated with different stages of grieving. So that's why it's there, because these cards represent different aspects of going through grieving. So just so you know what they represent there. So let's dive into what the downcast pride represents. Going dark. Survival is a direct consequence of adaptation. What we call adaptation is not the result of a subtle but constantly constructive change of ourselves, but rather a mockery of it. As we strip day by day of our dignity in order to avoid conflict with a world that would spread us apart. How can we endure this? Maybe through the power of responsibility, or through a hidden core of identity. Sometimes we don't use the best part of us, but rather we draw from the ugliest. We survive and bend our knees because we draw out from our laziness, fear and disgust. We let our deep roots go dry, replaced by what can only be called a surge of lack of self-esteem. We are deluded when we think that we are only sacrificing our pride. We cling to vanity, but we can't afford dignity. Isn't that sad? Honestly, the true delusion is our faith in fall and winter, while we discard spring and summer's fairy tales. The sky can change colour too, as long as sometimes we look up, we notice. Or we can notice, rather. Okay, and this actual moon phase here that it's kind of shadowed out is actually a new moon. That's what it represents, and that's associated with the stage of depression. So essentially what you're doing here is it's saying that because of some of the things that you've been contending with in terms of how you feel about yourself, you've kind of withdrawn from, you know, really tackling those self-perceptions, you know, rather than dealing with them head on and addressing why you feel that way. You're kind of just discarding yourself completely. You're just kind of overlooking those things and just obsessing over the things that really doesn't serve you. So, you know, by focusing on surface level aspects of yourself, or surface level things in general, you're overlooking your true feelings beneath it all, and that is, you know, that you're feeling quite low in mood, low self-esteem. You know, you feel like the world's kind of become very grey and gloomy, even if it's, you know, a glorious summer's day. You can't see beyond the clouds that surround your head, right? That's what it's kind of suggesting, that you're not feeling particularly great, and so your outlook on things is mirroring that. So how you perceive the world around you right now is mirrored by how you feel about yourself, you know. Those aspects of yourself that may not be as negative as you think, you know, are magnified to be these terrible things in your mind, or you see as, you know, unflattering or as flaws, because of this perception you have in general. It's not just about yourself, it stems from your own feelings of you know, self-worth or lack of, but it's having an impact on everything, like how you see things in general. That's what I get from that card. So let's look at the anger and chains, because obviously I feel like this kind of is discussing self-resentment, but I'll just go to the booklet anyway so you can get the background information on that card from the creator themselves. So let's go to anger and chains. Going dark. Anger is not the road to clarity. It's not a controlled effort or a cold dish. It is raw. It is primal, explosive. It is the loss of reason, the loss of restraint. A bomb burning bright in black colour. A wax seal carefully crafted to be immediately broken. But anger is also freedom. How can you break a single thread woven with a million others? How can you unfetter yourself from a bad situation, letting all the rest unchanged? It doesn't work like that. When you need to break free, you have to shake and shout. And more things will be broken than just what you want to hurt. They are like a bundle. You can target, but you cannot choose. Break many to break one. Save one to save many. Okay, so this is how you're feeling beneath all of that kind of self-loathing and your apathy towards things, even though on the surface you may come across as very like nonchalant, indifferent. Beneath it all, you're actually really quite pissed, actually. That's what it's basically saying. And that if you're not pissed right now, you're going to get to a point where you become pissed, because you just can't feel like this anymore. You're done just kind of letting things slide, and you know, you're kind of just fed up, really. And that's what's going to lead to you having this kind of outburst of emotion, because you've just been downplaying it for so long. You've been so nonchalant about everything that eventually it kind of reawakens this force within you, and then it's just going to come out in a very explosive way if left undealt with. So that's what I'm getting from these two cards in conjunction, that, you know, your sort of neither here nor there demeanour to the outside world is really just a mask for this, you know, apathy and just feeling of next to no self-worth, which is leading to these feelings of inner resentment towards those around you, those that are kind of feeding into this, negative circumstance that you find yourself in. And, eventually that's going to lead to an explosive reaction because you've been downplaying how you really feel for so long. I don't feel like this is like a recent thing. I feel like you've been doing this for a very long time. You've been downplaying everything for so long and just holding yourself back really by your lack of willing to take action. And that's probably what fed back into your feelings of lack of self-worth, because you're not taking action, you're not taking control of your life, you're just allowing life to happen. I feel like that's what it's kind of addressing here. But let's go to the tarot and trying to clarify a bit more. Okay, so we've got cards flying out already. So I'm curious what actually was the catalyst for this. I feel like obviously it's not going to be just one thing, it never is. And as I said, I feel like this is something that's been brewing beneath the surface for a long, long time. I feel like some of you may have quite passive personalities usually. You're not usually one to rock the boat. You're quite good at seeing things from all angles. So you try to use your rationale and, actually I feel like because you're Capricorn as well, often you won't allow yourselves to react emotionally because it's not logical, right? It doesn't make sense on that level. And because of that, all of these feelings that have been lurking beneath the surface are going to come out in a huge outburst, right? Because you do feel things, whether you want to admit that or not. You have feelings and your feelings are valid. So, it's important that you address them and rather keep suppressing them, because it's getting to a point where it can't be suppressed anymore. That's what I'm seeing here. So I'm just pulling out 3 rows of cards. The first for your current week, so the week we're in now, mid-August. The next for the coming week, next week. And then the final for the final week of August. So you know what to expect, and then you can do something about it also before certain things are likely to come about. And that maybe there might be some information here that you weren't seeing previously that might help you move into a new way of thinking and feeling. So I'll just get the last row for you. What we got for Capricorn in the final week of August. Okay, woo. Everything wants to come out all at once. Okay, so I think I've got everything I needed. Brilliant. Okay, so let's have a look. So this, as I said, this row here represents the week that we're currently in. So to begin with, you've got the Daughter of Swords, and that is the Page of Swords in reverse. Okay. So yeah, this really feels like to me that you've just been biding your time. You know that, there's certain things that you need to do in order to move past this and actually be more present in your life and actually change your circumstances and the reasonings that you have, or the feelings that you have behind this kind of lack of self-worth, but you've kind of just chosen not to do that. So that's the thing, like here you are aware, you're fully aware, you have the knowledge, but you've just not taken any necessary steps yet, or you may have taken some steps forward, but you haven't done enough about it. not enough to really feel very differently about it at this stage. So it's really a case of you have to just get up and do it. You know what needs to be done, you're aware of the work that needs to go in, but you've just not committed to that yet, or at least you haven't fully committed to this change yet. So we'll move on, and we have next the Son of Cups in the upright. So that's the Knight of Cups in the upright. And yeah, I mean, it feels like everything would be very different if you could just move forward on this. And then, because this is the only thing that's kind of throwing you off center at the moment, is how you're going about your daily life, right? How you perceive yourself because of your daily routine doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't give you a sense of purpose, of meaning, of self-worth. And because of that, you've let it affect how you perceive everything right now. But otherwise, if you address that, then you'll feel so differently about everything. Because other than that, I feel like you would actually be quite emotionally balanced. It's just that because of your inaction and unwillingness to, improve your life, that's what's giving you this feeling of just, being very apathetic and almost kind of nihilistic as well. For some of you, I feel like there is nihilism at work there. But, there is a new opportunity. I think maybe you are getting support. You could be getting support from a male ward to sign. You could be getting support from a friend or family member. I feel like, that you don't feel like completely depleted. It's not like with some other signs that I've pulled for this week. You don't feel like, it's not that you feel completely just, low on every level. It's just that because you haven't done this work, you haven't taken the necessary steps to improve your life and to live a more fulfilled life, that's what's giving you a very sort of pessimistic, apathetic attitude towards things. So, the advice here is you do this, you change this, you do the work, and instantly you're going to feel very differently about it. So we'll move on to the next card, and we have the Eight of Wands in reverse. So again, it's like you've created your own prison in my eyes, right? Like this cell that you're in and you feel trapped in, you're self-made. You are the creator of your reality, right? And you've just willingly put yourself in this position because it's easier. But it's really not, because it's actually causing all of this inner conflict here, as you can see. And that's what you need to realize and address, that you are the creator of your reality. You are your own jailer at this point. So all you have to do is open the gate, make a choice. It's literally a choice that you have to make, and taking decisive action, not talking about doing it, but just doing it. I feel like some of your self-worth may be self-worth issues may be related to a job that doesn't fulfill you. It could be, you don't feel very attractive right now, so you might be dealing with poor body image, or it could be some health issues come up and that's kind of throwing you off center, or it could be that you haven't found your passion yet simply, and you've just been banging your head against the wall trying to figure out what it is. But the fact is, everyone's got things they like doing, everyone's got hobbies. So just explore some of those, and then from there you may discover what your passions are. So it's just a case of you have to try things, okay? If you're having health problems, find out what can help remedy some of those issues, or at least improve your circumstances, and take those on board, take those things on board. If it's poor body image, meditate, do some affirmations, spend some time really connecting with yourself inside. And, if you feel like, you need to exercise more, or you need to eat more, or whatever it is, do that, But you also need to connect with yourself, your inner self, your true self as well, because as much as you can change the outside, if you're not right within, it's not going to make a difference, right? It has to, the outside has to reflect the inside as well. It can't just be on the surface, right? So there's work to be done there, and you can do it, and as I said with this card, you know what needs to be done. You know what needs to happen, so you just have to act. Okay? So this is for this week. So going into the end of the next week, you're going to come to the realization that you've been your own jailer, and, as well as being the prisoner. You are your own jailer. So you will make a decision, or not, depending on, what you choose. So moving on into next week, you have the Four of Pentacles in the upright. So you do want this, that's the thing, you do want this stability and clarity and just feeling fulfilled. You want this within yourself, but it requires more effort and more work than you've been putting in as of late. So, that's what it's going to come down to. Like, are you ready to take the next step? Are you ready to invest more time, energy, maybe resources into that? Because if that's what it's going to take, that's what it's going to take. But I feel like you do want that equal footing, and, it's going to really start to become something that plays on your mind quite a lot coming into next week. It could be that someone kind of gives you a wake-up call. It could be that you just realize something, you just have this epiphany that, you are your biggest enemy right now. And that if you work with yourself rather than against yourself, then who knows where you can end up, who knows what opportunities can arise. But until you actually go in 100%, you will not know, right? So move on to the next card. You've got the Strength card in reverse. So yeah, there will be this tendency, there will be this, what's the word I'm looking for? There will be this temptation to just not do it, Maybe you'll be tempted, especially moving later into the weekend, into the week and into the weekend, to kind of call off any diets or healthy lifestyles, to not go to the gym, to just blow off whatever work that you've been doing, or not work on the project that you want to do, or not do the studying that you're supposed to be doing, because it could be work related, it could be education related, it could be a number of things depending on your circumstances. But I feel like, as you get to the midweek, even though you've decided to make changes and you start the week by implementing them, I think by the midweek you're thinking, oh well, because something might come in and say, hey, do you want to do this, or why don't you just do that? And you might be tempted to give up already, or just kind of put it on hold for a day or two, and you really can't afford to do that, because as they say, it takes time to form habits. I think for it to become a habit, it takes 30 days, and a lifestyle 3 months or something like that. So in the early days especially, you really can't afford to waver on that, because otherwise you just end up back at square one, right? So you really need to call upon your inner strength by the middle of next week, because you're going to be really tempted to just kind of slide back into how things were before. So, okay, and then finally on that week we've got the Devil card in reverse. So again, it's that knowing that you are responsible for your happiness, right? That no one can do the work for you, you have to do it yourself. You know that it's only you that's holding you back. That you have no illusion about that, but even still, sometimes, again with this, you may be tempted to tell yourself these things and come up with excuses. So it's easier not to do the work. But you really can't afford to do that, not if you want to see a change in circumstances. Otherwise, you'll just end up here, you know. You'll just be angry and just stuck in the same circumstances, but feeling really angry and just, you know, wanting to lash out about it and just explode. But, you know, you'll have no one to really be angry at. You'll just be angry at yourself. So it really doesn't make sense to fall down that route when you can quite easily take action. So then going into the final week, you have the Ace of Wands in reverse. So again, I feel like there is going to be another incentive or another opportunity to really pick things up. You know, someone might come in and say, hey, look, like, I know it's difficult because you're not used to doing this, or you've been in this way of living for so long, but I'm here, I can help you with this. Or, you know, you might have an idea that you think, I know, that will work, that will help. But if for whatever reason, because of this energy from the week before, you might be tempted to say, well, but how much is that going to set me back? Or, you know, but that's really far to get to. Or, you know, I don't know if this person's reliable. Or, you know, you might come up with all these excuses, or you'll be questioning whether or not this is the way forward. But you have to do something, right? You have to make a decision and take the risk. If you don't take the risk, then you'll have no idea where or not things can lead, right? So you're going to have to make the decision and just really embody the goal. You have to have that in your mind as you're doing the work. You have to remember what it's for, what you're moving towards. You know, what is it that you're trying to obtain? You know, it's going to be hard to do the work if you don't even see what the point is. But if you've got it in your mind the whole way through, why it is that you're doing it, what you're trying to achieve, and how you'll feel once you're there and you're living that life, it will be much easier to, you know, not be swayed by other people or other factors, right? So that's the thing. It's just important to keep in mind the end game, what the goal is. And that will help with your motivation, because as much as others can come in and help and support you and motivate you or assist you, you need to have that within yourself also. No one can be motivated for you. So it's important to remember why you're doing it, especially going into the last week or towards the end of next week, I would say, because there will be that temptation there to just kind of go, screw it. Maybe I'll start again next week. You know, you've already been doing that. You've been doing that for so long, and that's what led to you being here, right? You can't just keep restarting. You have to really actually change your life this time. Because otherwise, you're just back to square one, and nobody wants that, right? So going into the next card, you have the Daughter of Wands in reverse. So again, this is like the Page of Wands in reverse. And yeah, I feel like you may be wanting to do this for the wrong reasons. Like, you want to do this, but there might be quite there may be some shallow reasons why you want to do the work. Like, oh, because, you know, if I get all this money, then I can buy a really fancy car and have to live the life. Or, you know, oh, if I go to the gym, then I'm going to look really hot and everyone will want to be with me. Or, You're not seeing the true benefits of if you do this work, right? You're not seeing it on a much more profound level, like how that can impact your life positively. So that's something you need to really reflect on. Like, why do I want to do this? Like, I'm aware now. I know what I want, but why do I want it? What is the purpose of this? Why am I trying to get there? You know, is it for shallow reasons, or is there something more to it? That's what you need to address, particularly going into the end of the month. And then finally, you have the Two of Wands in the upright. So again, opportunities. Maybe someone will support you within that to help you achieve that. Maybe you'll have some kind of personal coaching, or a fitness instructor, or you'll start a business partnership, or maybe, you'll just get support from a friend or a family member. Or maybe there's some other opportunity that comes up that really helps you to kind of step into this new path. So whatever it is, it's clearly there to help you on this journey. So just take the help, take the support, consider the options. If it is a business partner, are they aligned to what you're wanting to achieve? Can you work together? Can you make it happen? If so, go for it, because that could be the thing that helps to change your life, right? So there is hope there, and there is opportunity, and that's what I feel like throughout this entire read. That it's not that you don't know what to do. It's not that you're completely lost within it. You know what you have to do. You might not know exactly where your passions lie or what your end goal is, but you know what you want to do. You know what you'd like to have within your life, but you really have to think about why you want it. What would that bring to your life? How would it nourish you by having it in your life? How would that then impact those around you, right? You really need to think about the why and the how, right? So that's what this is really addressing here. But then you also need to remember, like whenever you have a moment of weakness, that it's all down to you. You can have those things, but you have to put the work in. It comes down to that. It's that simple. Like, even though the work will be, there will be a long road ahead, and sometimes you will feel like giving up. The answer is very simple. You just have to do the work, and try things, see where it leads, experiment. Things might not work out straight away, but then you try something new and then it does, right? So you have to be in it for the long haul if you want to see significant results. Nothing happens overnight. But also you have to be aware that as much as outside influences might try and trip you up or might try and dissuade you from this path for whatever reason, you are your biggest enemy when it comes to that. You're the one that holds yourself back more than anything. So you have to be mindful that you don't just make excuses and fall back into lazy habits, and just not doing what needs to be done. So that's the overall feel for the read. And then if we look at the overall energy associated with the month for you, Capricorn, is 3 of Cups in reverse. So again, there will be a time for partying and having fun and living the life, but that's not it. Now is not the time. Now is the time to really get serious about your intentions. To get serious about what it is you wish to obtain within your life. And then once you're on that path and you're putting in serious work and you're starting to see the results, then you can have this celebration. Then you can really enjoy and bask in your achievements. But until then, you have to put in the work, because you've been distracting yourself with those things for a long time. Partying, just hanging out, maybe you play a lot of games, or maybe you just kind of find everything and anything in the world to distract you from doing the thing that you actually need to be doing. So, you know, the hanging out with your friends, partying, you know, going to these social events, being a bit of a social butterfly, that's not on the cards for you right now. Once you start doing this work, you can start getting into that again. But, you know, right now it's too tempting to just do that and you know, blow the work off completely. So you can't do that right now. You need to be really tunnel visioned and be very clear with what it is you're trying to set out to achieve. And then once you do that, once you know the what already, but you don't know the why and the how. And that's what you really need to address. And is it for the right reasons? That's something else you really need to consider as well. Are you wanting those things for the right reasons? Are they for something meaningful, or is it shallow? So yeah, that's my advice to you, Capricorn, for the rest of the month. So I hope you find this useful. I know that obviously this is a general read, so there may be messages within that don't apply. Some of it might not resonate with you. Maybe even the whole read doesn't resonate with you, and that's fine. This isn't going to be for everybody, but I know this will definitely resonate with a fair number of you. So I really appreciate you watching this video and checking out my brand new YouTube channel. I'm very new to making video content, especially with tarot readings. I've never done it on video before, so it'd be great to hear your thoughts on this layout. And yeah, do give me some feedback. It would be much appreciated. If you liked this video, do like, comment, subscribe, and no doubt I'll be joining you for another read very soon. So thanks again. Take care.